Welcome back, everyone, to this week's episode of Booking the Territory, the Unprofessional Wrestling Podcast, where today we are covering WCW Saturday Night on TBS from August the 24th, 1991. Once again, it's a new year, but the same old BTT coming at you this week. It's just Doc and I, and here's why. We are recording this just 2 days after the August 17th, 1991 episode, and Harper is not with us because he'll be with us on our Clash of the Champions 16, which you can only hear us review on Patreon at tinyurl.com/PatreonBTT. It will drop tomorrow night, February the 3rd, if my calculations are correct. On that note, Doc, let me welcome you in, ask how you're doing, and see what's shaking in your world today.
So Harper's behind the paywall is what you're saying.
Harper is behind the paywall. You know, we should have did this a lot sooner, like where we did the specials and stuff. Right now?
I mean, we've got, what do you think they do to monkeys in Malaysia, but what do you think Harper does behind a paywall? Divorce skiing, or is he circle, or just general mayhem?
I'm going to go with mayhem, although you've been pretty mean to him behind the paywall at times, because the last time it was a pay-per-view Clash, he wanted to talk about the Saints and NFL, and you're like, no, bro, it's tuxedo night. We ain't talking about the Saints or the Cowboys or shit.
Nobody likes Shenanigans more than I do, but there's a time and a place for everything.
Yeah, but that's the thing. We still had Shenanigans on that episode. It was just Harper getting frustrated and swole up in the chest about some of the booking on that. If he would
just calm down and go with the flow, we know what we're doing.
Bro, he's like a butterfly, bro. That just fly. Dude, we were talking about something serious. The death of Jay Briscoe. And out of nowhere, he starts talking about Laverne and Shirley in her legs.
I'd like to really, drill Laverne. Wait,
what? Hold on. We're paying tribute to one of the great professional wrestlers of our time and great promos of our time. And you're talking about, hold on, bro. Slow your roll.
Yeah, let us do a little transition work before you start talking about plowing Laverne.
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, and I got to tell you, we're still not happy. We're still upset that about Jay Briscoe. You know, some people just thoughts and prayers and move on. That guy's leaving a hole in the wrestling business. And we've spent the last few days since we recorded the last show, since last week, going back and watching promos and sending them to each other and cutting up, because that's what we used to do when he was alive. And I think that's the best way, unless we're going to jump in and pay the man's bills for him. That's the best way to honor his legacy, is to continue to enjoy the work he put out there.
I totally agree. I mean, hey, look, you sent me the Cosmetically Pleasing freaking promo. I'm not going to play the whole thing now, but I'll play this soundbite because it pops me every time. This is the Briscoes Cosmetically Pleasing promo. Go search it out on YouTube. It's there. But this line right here, I came unglued.
Well, excuse me, Mr. John Laurinaitis. I forgot this was a damn beauty contest. Cosmetically pleasing my ass. Preach, brother.
Tremendous.
Go search out that promo on YouTube. The dude was a treasure, and more news has come out. We recorded that right when, it was only an hour after the story broke, so we did not know about his two daughters being in the accident as well. One of them, maybe not being able to walk and was going into emergency surgery. So we didn't know any of that information at that moment, and I hope by the time this drops, can I imagine what?
His wife. She lost her husband, and her two kids are messed up in the hospital.
It is one of those things where, look, it's got to be hard enough losing a spouse, but then to know one of your children was critical at that time, and I'm not sure the condition now. Again, we're recording this a few weeks in advance, and then the other one was in the accident, but I think they said she ended up being okay. I haven't seen the full report yet, even though it is available. I can't imagine what that woman's going through. Like, her world in an instant just flipped.
Let me ask you this. Yeah, true. Yeah. Your life can change in an instant, but let me ask you this. See, I think in these situations, it's not today and tomorrow that she's got to worry about it. It's 5-6 months from now. Because when you're
Yes.
when you're in the midst of it, first of all, the shock of losing your spouse, but then you go into parent mode, which is this like, okay, what do we do? You can't just fall apart when your kids have problems, serious problems. You know, you got to step up and step into the situation. And you kind of have that adrenaline rush that exists for like a long period of time along with the shock. It's not then, it's when you sit down at the breakfast table on a Tuesday morning 5 months from now, and the kids are, hopefully back at school or whatever, and they're gone, and you're sitting in that house by yourself, and you go, I'm gonna have a nervous breakdown.
Yeah, I think you said
That's when it is. Okay.
I can't add anything. You nailed it with the way you just positioned that 100%.
So that woman, and I went in online, and I like to be online. I have a strong online presence.
Right. Yeah, sure. We're talking about something serious here, and you want to at least you're not talking about plowing Laverne.
We're just a small flip. Just a little flip.
At least you're not talking about plowing Laverne. But proceed.
No. I read the news article from the newspaper up there.
Oh, yeah.
And so they closed down the schools the next day. Like Jay's wife was, so in that Cosmetically Pleasing episode, he talks about his wife being a bartender. Like, I thought she could quit her job bartending. But in the article, it says she was a secretary at the school, or for one of the schools or the district, whatever. Mm-hmm. She was working for the school district. And his mama was a retired teacher who's on the school board. So like they're really like woven into that community in a deep way. And so like they closed down the schools and all that kind of thing. And apparently it was a lady in the other lane that just came into his lane in a head-on collision. Have you ever seen a head-on collision?
Not in person, but I've seen it on video.
I've seen one. So one day, me and a buddy of mine, strong buddy of mine, that you know who I'm talking about here, my main bro.
Yeah.
And we were driving along the road, and I'd say maybe it was the car in front of us, but it was like, I don't know, 20 yards ahead of us, and it was a curve. And the car didn't go with the curve on the other lane and crossed over and hit the car in front of us straight on, man. And you talk about a car that was going 35, 40 miles an hour, and then it ain't. It was violent. It was messed up. We pulled into an apartment complex like right there and got out and just made sure everybody was all right. And we didn't have cell phones at the time. So what do? Somebody came out of the apartment because they heard it. And we were like, y'all need to call 911. And it was messed up, dude. It was like people went to the hospital, but nobody died or anything. And it's no joke. Like, it was like, dude, we got back in the car. We're like, that was intense. And then me and the missus were going to eat dinner one night just a few years ago and saw another one in a different part of, but and we called we were the first ones to call 911 on that one. And we're like, yeah, we're sending somebody out. And dude, you come to a stop. Here's the other thing in the news article. Jay wasn't wearing a seatbelt.
Yeah, I read that. I heard the other drivers.
Well, we grew up when seatbelts were optional.
They sure were.
I did. And when I say optional, nobody was forcing anybody to do anything, so nobody was doing it.
Right.
I mean, the whole back seat when I was a young kid was my playground.
Right. My grandfather had a Chevy pickup truck. Back when they didn't make the double, you just had single cab pickup. So he had 3 seats in there, and all the grandchildren, where we piled up when we went somewhere, in the freaking bed of the pickup truck. Now, you do that today. I can remember being on the fucking highway doing 50 miles an hour in the back of a pickup truck.
They hit a bump and you go up in the air and they turn around and they're laughing.
Bruh, I'm just saying it was a different
what's
world.
funny about this shit? I'm holding on for dear life back here. I fail to see the humor in this particular situation.
You do that shit now?
You're canceled immediately.
You're not canceled. They're putting you in prison.
CPS, GPS, EPS, they're all coming after you.
You're not canceled. You are in jail. Like I really think depending on the jurisdiction, but if a police officer pulled you over and you had a pile of kids in the back of a pickup truck riding, like they'd pull you over and I'm pretty sure they'd haul you off. Now, I don't know what the charge is. It depends on the jurisdiction.
We didn't grow up that way.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I put on a seatbelt without thinking about it. I don't even think about it.
I do too. One of my cousins, his high school classmate, died in a car accident when he was his senior year. He didn't have a seatbelt on, and that's not what made me start wearing my seatbelt because he was a few years older than me. But ever since then, I do it. I'll always look around. My kids before I even put it in drive. Got your seatbelt on? I'm not criticizing Jay here. I'm just saying it's something that I always do. But I know, Jay's a little younger than us, but I still know people who don't do it sick in nature.
Here's where I bet this is different. He's used to driving around the country and
hopping out the vehicle nonstop. Yep, that's exactly what I thought. That's exactly.
I'm gonna drive to the back part of the farm. I ain't putting on no seatbelt. Come on.
It's not even that he said that. I'm willing to bet just like you. He's used to driving around the farm. He's in his pickup truck and he's hopping out a lot and he's driving over here. He hops out and I just I hate that I saw one person criticize him for not wearing a seatbelt and I'm like, you are a callous bastard. And the reason I think that is because, man, you just don't know, man. People like. He didn't have a seatbelt on. That's not an indictment on him. The man lost his life. And here's the thing. The person who hit him head on, they had their seatbelt on from what I read, and they died. So, I get that a seatbelt.
The first thing I thought, because, we're dirty pricks, is, okay, it's 5 o'clock coming from happy hour somewhere, but you don't know. Maybe she had a seizure.
Yeah, I don't. Did they ever say what happened with that woman?
There's probably, if they're going to do any toxicology reports, it may take a while. But the point is, everybody's got to report something the minute it happens. And I like that just-in-time news that we get in the world we get in. But sometimes you just got to get it right. Because I mean, if that lady was drunk, then she deserves she deserves the shame that comes along with that. If she had a medical issue, God, that's an unfortunate accident. We don't know.
Well, yeah. And that's what I'm saying.
If you don't know, maybe the place to go is not to go to Twitter or social media. It's to just keep your fucking mouth shut.
Well, that's not what society does now, man. You know that.
No, we got to tell everybody what we think we know. Yeah.
I mean, there's on Twitter and Facebook daily, everybody's got a law degree. Everybody's a doctor, a medical doctor. That's the world now. We all pass judgment. I mean, when I say all, I include all of us. Me, you. Well, you don't have no digital presence unless you're trolling from Mrs. Doc's account or some shit. But you know what I'm saying. We all kind of do it. I mean, we all think we're medical, personnel, and no, it's not how it works. Sometimes you just got to relax and breathe.
We talk about a pandemic. We have on Dr. Blassie.
Yeah, bring a doctor on.
We
talk
about deep Southern wrestling. We may need to bring on Bo James. We talk about eating ass. Harper, what's up?
This is crazy. Circle, dot. I had a new listener not that long ago. Was like, what does circle, dot mean? I was like, brace yourself. Let me tell you.
You ain't ready. Keep on listening and we'll tell you later.
Yeah, I was like, all right, hold on, brace yourself, and I'll tell you through email because it was an email, and I was like,
how'd you feel writing that in an email?
I was like, he's talking about spreading cheeks and eating bunghole. The person was like, wow, serious? No, you know the other one. I had another new listener was like, "What's the Burger King thing?" I go, actually, I've had a bunch of people ask me that one, not just new, but a bunch of people. And
are they like a new sponsor? Oh hell!
It was like, "What's the Burger King thing?" I'm like, So here's the thing. Let me brace you. It's a kind of a play on the Von Erich thing from Smoky Mountain Wrestling. And, it means if, Doc or I had to go back to Burger King, we joke that we'd have to do the Von Erich thing or Burger King thing. But we really wouldn't. It's just kind of a play on the Von Erich.
I'm making sure that doesn't happen so that I don't have to. Burger King is not a sponsor. They sponsored the scars that we have from our youth.
Did they? Jesus. But
we were talking about it again. We were talking about it again on back and forth this week, and you just can't. Those hellish, just terrible jobs you had when you were a kid. Like today, we're grown ups. We sit at a computer. It's like, okay, look, I'm not out, slaying dragons and winning Super Bowls like I wanted to when I was a kid. But man, I came up a couple of levels because I ain't flipping Whoppers either.
Yeah. That's
you got to keep it all in perspective.
Boy,
if you didn't do it, you don't know. And I'm not talking just about Burger King. If you worked in fast food or waiting tables or some sweaty there's all kinds of blue collar jobs, a warehouse. I mean, Mullen Morton ain't ever getting out of that warehouse. But is that guy still alive?
I mean, me and News and Aya Gibson were talking about that on the live stream we did a few weeks back, and I don't think he's tweeted in almost 2 years. So I hope that dude's alive.
Yeah, well, I'm bringing the show down again.
Yeah.
Well, let me bring it back up.
Back to Jay. Let me just say one other thing. Man, until we find out what the condition of was that lady, and again, we're recording this mid-January, that hit him, I would just say, hold off judgment of what the situation is. And if the person was high or drunk, well, that's a whole nother conversation. And, but for now, I haven't seen anything that confirms what was the condition of that person. So there's that. But another, and the last thing is, dude, seriously, RIP Jay Briscoe, screw Warner Media for allegedly not allowing them to do a proper tribute. Doc, I actually tuned into that show to see what they would do for Jay, only to find out as soon as the show went off air from Pollock and Wei Ting that Tony Khan was then planning on doing something specifically on YouTube. And it seems to be that Warner Media would not allow a proper Jay Briscoe tribute, even though they did show the black card at the front, RIP in him. And then I think a couple of times on commentary, the commentators made mention to him. But they did not want to, they would not allow a tribute, from what I understand, on air because of a previous tweet that was very bad a decade ago from Jay Briscoe. But at some point, we got to forgive folks if they change. And I believe Jay changed, and I think it was just a mistake at that time. It was not a good tweet, but I think the man in his heart, based on, I know people personally that know him, know him well. I never met Jay, but the people I know that know him well all say he was a good person, good heart, was very remorseful of that mistake. I think he even went out of his way to try to, smooth things over, not just monetarily, but through his actions. And I just think it's unfortunate when a corporate executive won't forgive someone for something 10 years ago and won't allow a company to air a proper tribute on a cable television show that has a lot of eyes on it. I know it's only 1 million viewers usually, but still, I hate that we got to go to YouTube to watch it. I don't like that. And I just wanted to make that statement. I don't know if you knew about that part of it.
Yeah, I heard about it. And
it's very unfortunate.
Again, here's a discussion that you and I had this week. People who take moral stances are usually selectively choosing their moral stance, meaning they're probably doing some dirty shit of their own. They're usually supporting some dirty shit, and ain't nobody, and I mean nobody perfect, and ain't nobody clean.
Now, if someone yesterday is yelling at my wife the N-word, I'm not going to forgive them the next day. But this was 10 years ago. And you're right, Doc. I bet you there's some executives in that company who ain't got a squeaky clean past, but we can't air a Jay Briscoe tribute episode because of a tweet from 10 years ago.
Is it okay if we call you the N-word?
Stop. Come on. Being serious right now.
Somebody did that once. It's happened more than once. Which is the funniest.
It's not funny.
And saddest part of this show's history.
And they've called you racist too.
Can I bring it up a minute? Just for a minute.
Yeah. Bring it. Are we transitioning away from Jay now?
Huh?
Are we still talking about Jay as you bring it up?
No.
Gotcha.
I don't know when this is going to air, and furthermore,
February 3rd.
Whatever. All I know is that I made a prediction last week for what was going to happen with the Cowboy game. I don't know what happened. We still ain't played it. We probably got 2 more games to play after that.
Oh, God.
I don't know. But here's what I want to do to keep the spirit alive. How about them Cowboys? Why don't you say it? It's fun. Why don't you say that?
We're recording this before they play the 49ers in the divisional round. If I give you some context about when. I'm not saying that. Just like you'll never say who dat.
You should try it. I'm not trying who dat all the time. This is more fun than who dat.
Can I get this shout out the way? Because we do have a shout out.
I got a shout out too. So I'm gonna do a Doc-A-Holic's spotlight in just a minute. So go right ahead, and I'll wait for you.
Okay, I just sent you a text. You'll see it after this. You asked what Harper was doing, but don't interrupt me as I do this. Again, this is just 2 days after the last show, so no new Patreon shout-outs, but I do have one new 5-star review on Podcast Addict, and that Podcast Addict review. Dave, best Dave ever. Dave, we record these several weeks in advance, so you don't have to tell me to make sure I check it. I'm going to check it. And sometimes they don't show up for a few days even after one posted. So here's the 5-star review. This is best Dave ever. Remember, with best Dave ever, he's a longtime listener, wonderful human being. If you recall, Dave has listened to our Smoky Mountain review shows at least 5 times now. He starts on episode 1, goes through 200, then he does it again. And he drives a bus for a living, so he gets a lot of listening time. And we help him avoid doing the BK and Von Erich thing. So anyway, here's Dave's 5-star review on Podcast Addict. If you like your wrestling spelled wrestling, RASSLINS wrestling, your humor dirty and no ads every 7 minutes, and this is the podcast for you. I found the show in the fall of 2019 and have been hooked ever since. Doc, Mike, and Harper truly do it old school and call it in a ring, which makes them the GOATs of podcasting. Others have tried, but no one, and I mean no one, covers old school better than BTT. That seems like a Ric Flair line at the end right there. Anyway, thank you, best Dave ever. And Dave is very much promotes the show on social media. So be like Dave and retweet the show, and be like Duck Bosard and retweet the show when I put it out there, or on Facebook, share it. But I appreciate the Podcast Addict review from best Dave ever.
That makes them better BTT employees than I am.
Okay. Oh boy. All right. Now, as I say that, again, no new Patreon shout outs this week because we're recording this 2 days after, but you can become a patron if you want to listen to Harper review the most recent or the next Clash of the Champions, which is coming out tomorrow night at 7 p.m. on February the 3rd. tinyurl.com/Patreon BTT. Get access to all our Patreon content there. We got to be getting close to 400 Patreon exclusive shows, so please check out our Patreon, tinyurl.com/Patreon BTT. Okay, Doc, you said you had something.
Speaking of Patreon shows, my Latrell was asking me the other day because he's always curious about the show, but he can't listen to this. Come on,
we need to have him on a show.
No.
Yeah, like one that we do in person.
No, we need to have Sasha on the show. That's
not happening.
Right. So he was saying, how come y'all don't? You told me you do top 5s. How come y'all don't do those anymore? I'm like, because I'm always driving you around to some soccer shit. That's why. He was like, oh, and that was the end of it. But anyway, he had some ideas, and they were look, I ain't trying to do no top 10 Pokemon characters or whatever it is, the top 5 NBA players. Nobody gives a shit. Go back and watch that on YouTube, because that's what these kids watch, bro. They ain't. TV's going away, just so you know. TV as we know it, because these kids don't give a shit about your cable TV, your stations. They want to watch YouTube videos.
So it's already happening. Like, I mean, it's already kind of happened.
It's in progress.
Well, no. What I mean by that, when I say it's already happened, is YouTube TV is a thing. Hulu Live is a thing. So these streaming services, digital platforms, goddamn pal, they're already running live TV along with their catalog of anything and everything else that you can get from them.
Okay, so hold on to that for just a second. I want to come back to that because this is going to tie into our next discussion that I want to have with you. But let me just get my Doc-A-Holic spotlight out of the week out of the way. This is going to be after the fact, but just know, I mean, again, you never know when you might need to hear some words of encouragement. We have a strong listener out there, Beer Man. Recently, I believe, lost his mama.
Oh yeah.
And so he gets the spotlight this week because, that's your mama. You only get one of those. And so hang in there, Beer Man. Have another beer for me. I'm doing dry January, by the way, during NFL playoffs. Can you believe that?
I don't believe it. He's full of crap, y'all.
No. Here's the thing, bro. I've closed my Apple rings every day this month. 10,000 steps every day this month, except for one. I had like 6,500. I had to take a day off. My heel was hurting on my left foot. Dropped about 4.5, 5 pounds. New year, new me, bro.
Is that what you're telling yourself?
I watched that game the other night. Dry, man. You talk about like not drinking beer. I'm like, this isn't that bad. I'm busy. I got a life. We get to like kickoff in Tampa, and dude, I got the shakes, man. I'm like, what the fuck? I started sweating. I'm like, I need a beer. This is brutal.
All right.
Okay, so I want to talk to you about something. Vince, bro, Vince has moved on the WWE like that shit was Poland in 1939, bro.
This shit ain't gonna be timely, man. I don't know what you want me to say about it.
Here's the thing. This is what I'm about to say is evergreen, so don't get all.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. Vince is coming back to run the company.
It doesn't mean he won't sell it.
It doesn't mean he won't. I didn't say that. Selling it is only under the conditions that he still runs it. So this is an evergreen tweet. He is going to run that business until he dies, or he's mentally incapacitated and can't do it. And even then, they'll drive him to the office and let him sit at the desk and just like, no, nobody go in there and talk to Vince, but he thinks he's running it.
Well, if you remember what I told you from Brandon Thurston, who's all over this story, he said his comment weeks and weeks ago, over a month ago now, was Vince McMahon is not just looking for a seller. So when you think about who he wants to sell to, the question really is, who will give Vince all the power he still wants?
That's right.
So just remember that part of this discussion as this. He may have sold it by now. They may have announced something.
Well, here's the thing. A sale is going to take a while. They may announce it, but the logistics of it will take months and months. But any sale is going to be contingent upon him staying where he is. Furthermore, just read this morning, he's bringing back people that left when he left. His VPs and stuff. He's bringing back his infrastructure, people that are loyal to him. Like this was an opera. I'm not talking about like in the creative. I'm talking about in the office.
Yeah, I hear you.
And so here's the thing. I don't know that Triple H gets booted. I think that Triple H could stay quote unquote head of creative. But once again, we're back to a position where who's calling the shots? Who's got final say on everything? Who's signing everybody's paycheck?
Vince is a shrewd businessman, so I don't put nothing past him when it comes to.
And these old baby boomer white powerful dudes don't give a shit about retirement. So here's the only thing. I think Vince is going to sell it. I think Vince is trying to get it private because he's had enough of dealing with the shareholder pressure, and he learned a real valuable lesson by being forced out. Like that can't happen again. I gotta go through that door and seal it behind me. So that can't happen to me again.
Right.
He also, a couple weeks ago, but as of recording yesterday, settled with the referee that that case has been out there for 30 years or more about the assault. To get that off the ledger. My only question is who he sells it to. Because the point is that the real value of the company is the TV rights. And that industry is changing, like we just said, with streaming services. And so if any content provider buys him and swallows his product into the portfolio, then how do they make money?
Yeah, that's I don't know. I don't think anybody knows the answer to that question right now. I think, and that's the issue.
And apparently Fox lost their ass on SmackDown.
Yeah, I've seen that report too. How much money, how many millions they've lost.
Hey, let's put it on Friday night when everybody who's in the key demo is out chasing ass.
Or great idea and stuff like that, you know.
Capital idea.
Yeah.
So we're going to continue to track this story. We're going to cover this story. We are industry insiders. You know, I know. Hey, I got a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
When the boys are listening into the locker room, do we get all the downloads for those ears listening, or just the one download for the wrestler that downloaded it?
It's probably, if it's just one device, it's just the one download.
Because you know they're listening to us in the locker rooms.
What makes you say that? I need to hear your justification or your reasoning behind it, I should say.
Because you keep telling me we're over.
Oh, we are. We are.
Okay, so that's my. If we're over, we got to be over with the boys too.
We're underground. That's the other thing. Like,
that's
there's
true.
people.
We're coming to you from the bunkers.
There's people who don't look, man. I know this for a fact because I get messages. There's people who don't want folks to know that they listen to us because of the risque aspects of BTT and Harper's wild takes of circle, circle, dot, dot, and many other things.
Right, because these wrestlers ain't out there living,
right,
just committing crimes against all kinds of people and animals and traffic laws and shit. These wrestlers go out there and commit all these crimes and then find Jesus. Get the fuck out of here.
They find Jesus when they get old.
Right.
All right. On that note,
maybe
Doc,
we should talk about some wrestling.
Yeah, I got to share my screen with you, so give me a second.
So this is technically, just to set it up while you're doing that, this is the go-home show for the Clash. Because if you're following along at home, we're going to cover, as Mike said at the beginning of the program, August 24th of 1991. There is no show for August 31st, and then we get into early September and the Clash. So this is technically the go-home show. It is a very reasonable 49 minutes, which is always wonderful to see.
A+.
And highlighted by a tag team tournament semifinal of the Patriots versus the Enforcers. Remember last week we saw Kazmaier and Steiner beat a one-man gang and the Executioner to make it to the finals. So we've got to get this Clash ready tonight. That's what we're here to do. The go-home show, 8/24/91. Mike, over to you, buddy.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned the August 31st show. There is not one. So we'll pick back up.
Wait, how WCW is that? Let's just don't do one.
Well, the other part is they did do, and I'd have to look because I'm sure I have it somewhere. There was probably the worldwide going on, and there were other events happening that did air. It's just that you don't get a Saturday night in that week.
Now I got to ask you. I've been thinking about this lately, and I know we're a ways off. When Nitro debuts, are we going to switch from Saturday night to Nitro?
I think we talked about that at one point. We're going to have to. But that's not till what year? 94?
I thought it was 95.
Was it 95? Bro, I get fact checked all the time, bro. I be feeling like I'm going to break some kind of law or something because Bobby Murray, yesterday, one of our longtime Hall of Fame patrons. Hey, Bobby, how you doing? Bobby corrected me on the power plant. This week because Harper said something last week about Elegante or 2 weeks ago. He was like, "Hey, didn't he get trained by the power plant?" I was like, "No, it's 91." And I knew there was a like training center because it was always my understanding that Elegante was basically trained by WCW because that's how they discovered him, like playing for the Hawks and all that shit. But what I didn't realize was, I guess they called it the Plant at that point in time, and I didn't particularly realize it was called the Plant. So you're insulting Bobby Murray now.
I guess.
Long time Hall of Fame patron. You see, Bobby, I got your back. I'm mentioning this because I saw it, but yeah. Now on the Nitro thing.
Did Bobby's check clear this month? That's what I need to know.
Come on, Doc. Why?
So this is very, very timely. The first Nitro was September 4th.
September 4th, 95. You're right.
95. So we're about 4 years away from the switch.
So we got Saturday night until then, and some of those Saturday nights in 94 are rough.
I looked ahead last night on these, because I've already watched the Clash. And because we're doing that in 3 or 4 days with the big man. The rest of this year might be rough. I'm just gonna break that out.
Nah, I don't think so.
We gotta work on our flips and perfect our dives.
Okay, fair enough. All right. On that note, August 24th, 1991, as Doc said, this is the go-home show before the Clash. We are in St. Joseph, Missouri at the Civic Center there in front of a reported 3,249 people, if you believe the internet. I always say if you believe the internet because let's just be real. The internet is not a place for nuance. During this introduction, Jim Ross says a tragedy. He calls it a tragedy. Boy, that's not a good word for what's happening here, but a tragedy has befell upon Sting. And
I love it.
We'll hear more about that today. And we're going to get the last semifinal match in the tag tournament, which is happening, the Enforcers versus Chip and Todd Champion, to see who goes to the finals of the tournament. And then we pretty much immediately go on that note to, is it Tom Zink and Jim Boss? Oh, Doc.
Well, did you mention, I quit listening to you there for a second. Pillman is back, right?
Oh, yeah. I'm glad you said that. Pillman is back, and JR does say to Paulie, we'll hear more about that on the, the WCW Control Center with Paulie. So there's that. Yeah, Pillman is back, and I guess we'll hear more about that shortly. He never went away, but who cares, right? That kind of fell flat, huh? Yellow Dog thing?
Yeah.
They didn't really do
Yellow Dog.
I haven't watched the other shows from this time period, like in sequence in many, many years. I don't remember if they did anything of importance with the Yellow Dog there. We based this on our viewing of Saturday Night. And yeah, I don't know if Yellow Dog really materialized in anything, but Pillman is back, even though he never went anywhere. All right. On that note, Tom Zink versus Jim Boss. Z-Man lays on the mat with Boss the whole time. It put me to sleep. I woke up, then hit rewind, and finally caught the sleepy finish. Crossbody off the top rope. Z-Man wins. I can't.
Look at these two guys.
What about them?
You know what I noticed?
Tell me what you noticed.
These two motherfuckers' britches are 2/3 of a carton of sherbet.
Oh, it's orange and that. But no, that's like fuchsia or pink that Boss has on.
No, that's the raspberry over there. You know how they get that raspberry done?
Oh, yeah. Okay. I wasn't following. Yeah, it is that kind of raspberry type look to it.
These motherfuckers are 2/3 of a sherbet carton. And that tells you how great this match is, because that's what I noticed. That's my only note. You know how they get that raspberry flavor, right? I'm not even joking about this.
I don't know if I want to know the answer to this.
It comes from this liquid called castoreum, I believe, that is expelled from the anal gland of a beaver.
Bullshit.
No. I'm telling you the truth.
Well, one, I'm not really a sherbet guy. I prefer ice cream, like real men.
I like both. I'm not picky. Here's the thing: when you got little kids, I'm not shopping for treats. I'm just picking on what they don't eat. You know what I'm saying?
Bruh, you said a mouthful, especially when they're young.
Yeah.
Gets worse when they're older too. But
it is a yellowish exudate from the castor sacs of mature beavers.
Come on. All right.
It is used in perfumes and a food additive.
Hard pass. Let's get back to the wrestling.
It's also used mostly in vanilla stuff. So a lot of times if you're vanilla, it's not used a lot, but you never know, man. You never know what
chocolate.
you're eating. You don't know what you're eating in this world.
I know. I like chocolate, though.
I know you do. I know you do.
Okay.
You made that very clear to me.
Z-Man wins with
a I don't give a fuck.
Z-Man wins with a backdrop, nice looking backdrop, and then a crossbody off the top rope. And that's my notes from this. Rather just, I want to go to sleep. All right. On that, then we go to Cactus Jack, who, quick promo, but he basically has a statement to make.
Come on in. Come on in. Would you like to know a secret? Because everybody wants to know why Cactus Jack is in WCW. And I'm going to tell you it's because something real big is on the horizon. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't have a tarot card. And I'm not going to read your greasy palms. But I'm going to make a prediction for the future. As long as I'm here, there's going to be a lot of people hurt. A lot of people hurt, and it could be you. So wake up and read the writing on the wall.
Right. Cactus promises a lot of people are going to be hurt. It's kind of meat and potatoes, but I wanted to play it because there's really not many promos in this episode, even though I'm about to play another one shortly. Any thoughts on Cactus right there, Doc?
He's always good because he's just so naturally ridiculous in a psychotic way. I remember, when he was in Dallas, just like, this dude is insane. And he just got better with it.
He's different, man.
Yeah, that's the other thing. He's different than everybody else.
Yeah, there's nothing about him that screams, there's no sizzle to this. Like Harper would always say, there's no sizzle to the steak. He don't look like $1 million, but when he hits the screen, you look and you go, hold on. I got to stop and watch because what the hell's happening? All right. We then go to Jim Ross, who throws to a clip of Sting and the tragedy that has fell upon him. I got a lot to say about this, but I need to play the promo. So the video folks, the patrons out there, tinyurl.com/PatreonBTT, you'll be able to watch this with us. And then Doc and I are going to discuss this on the other side.
Hey,
here it is.
What's in the box?
What's in the box? Let's find out.
You still haven't watched that movie, have you?
No.
You should really watch Seven. It is a fantastic movie. It's got a black guy in it, Morgan Freeman.
Well, last night Harper gave me more movies to watch. Invasion of the Body Snatchers was one of them.
Or some shit. What did he say?
No, I did an episode with him and D-Man talking about their top 5 sci-fi movies. And let me tell you something.
0, there are none.
Let me tell you, that's not true. That's not true. I have a few. Weird Science, They Live. Those are sci-fis to me. Anyway, Harper, you ever want to get Harper really going? Start talking about
doing top 5s without me. Thanks, appreciate it. D-Man,
right, because you wanted to do a top 5 sci-fi movies with D-Man.
I could have come in and shit all over y'all.
By the way, that's on Patreon for the people who for the patrons who hate D-Man.
Hey,
it's on
Patreon. So D-Man gets to come in and do that shit, but he don't have to watch this episode and review it. Come on, bro.
D-Man's been listening to us, man. Come on. Do you want to do an episode with D-Man one day?
No.
I gotta say this: as much as you get on D-Man, he's a lot better than Z-Man. Yeah. All right. Okay. Let's go now to. But here's bro. Let me tell you something. You are missing out on uncovering the gold that there may be in Harper's sci-fi movie love. There is gold in there if you and I were to take the patience to watch something like Invasion of the Body Snatchers or The Thing to like throw at Harper, because I'm telling you, while you and I like sci-fi, but I'm not as gung-ho as them. But there are some sci-fi movies that I like Planet of the Apes was one of my favorites, to give you an example. They Live with Piper. I like that. But they are like balls deep into it I like Predator, like Terminator. I was a fan of those movies. But they are like gung-ho. And Harper just kept telling me, bro, you got to watch Invasion of the Body Snatchers. I'm like, all right. I think there's some gold there, but it's going to take you to devote 2 hours of your time to watch that movie. On that note, let's find out what's in the box and what's ailing Sting these days. Here we go.
Welcome back, everyone, to TBS and World Championship Wrestling. We're going to show you a piece of videotape that happened recently involving Sting. It seems as if we thought some of his adoring fans, perhaps some of the little Stingers, had sent him a huge present. And as Gary Michael Capetta requested Sting come to ringside and open his present for the world to see, what came out of that box shocked us all. We'll talk more about this situation, but now let's take a look at this very special videotape.
Sting now opening this giant gift, allegedly sent by some of his adoring fans. They certainly have done a nice job wrapping it. Most popular athlete in WCW, and hey, wait a minute! It's Abdul the Butcher! The Butcher with karate thrust right to the throat! Abdul the Butcher, the bad man from the Sudan! Sting face first into the railing! The Butcher again!
Obviously, Abdullah the Butcher needs no introduction, but my question to you, Paul, who sent Abdullah the Butcher to World Championship Wrestling to eradicate Sting?
Whoever did must have a lot of money, because Abdullah the Butcher is a hitman that does not come cheap. Sting has a massive problem on his hands. As a matter of fact, he has two of them. Who sent Abdullah the Butcher? And Abdullah the Butcher himself.
Van Sting will be competing, bruised and battered or not, in the tournament in the Omni tomorrow night. He's got a lot to worry about, including this man, Nikita Koloff.
Wrestling fans, the following.
So, Doc, Abdullah the Butcher popped out of the box and attacked
Kill him,
Sting.
Abby. Kill him.
The man who was a babyface with Norman, the crew of Norman, and Ninja Turtle Norman is back. But this time he's bad. And JR wants to know who sent Abdullah to attack Sting in WCW. And Jim Ross and Paul E. speculate who might have done this. But Abdullah, after being a cartoon character, which I've heard Cornette defend, which is the weirdest goddamn thing ever, is back as a heel attacking Sting. He's back to being Savage Abdullah. What do you think about all this?
I think we're supposed to forget that ever happened, and it was unfortunate because Abby's not a baby face.
Okay.
In real life or in wrestling. Right,
in real life or wrestling. Boy, you nailed it. Just so you know, they don't. I'm going to project something about this from what I remember. This plays out pretty well. I think they string this along good and tell a good story. And I don't think we find out who. It's not till like end of November, early December when it comes out who actually is the one sending Abdullah or maybe others out of the box to attack Sting. To me, it's a nice story. The whole thing is well done, and then we'll find out eventually, obviously, because it's wrestling. It's much better than the Black Scorpion, but that's just my 2 cents. Anyway, Doc, any other thoughts on Abdullah here?
I prefer to have him in the promotion than not.
I thought you were about to say the crew of Norman, but in the promotion,
No.
yes. God, that was so terrible. Him and remember, Rotunda, Abdullah, and Ninja Turtle Norman. Rotunda was Captain Mike. Ninja Turtle Norman. We're saying Ninja Turtle. He wasn't Ninja Turtle. He just had the Ninja Turtle gear on a couple times and we laughed. And Abdullah. Baby faces. What the piss. But we litigated that last year. Let's keep going. The next match is from Lithuania, the Russian Nightmare, Nikita Koloff. It always makes me chuckle. From Lithuania, the Russian Nightmare. But, you know, back then, most people didn't realize those were two different places. Versus a gentleman by the name of Chris Wilson. Chris Wilson looks like a young, hard-body Harper out there. What do you think, Doc?
Did you see that the young hardbody ran across the ring and jumped Nikita before the bell?
I was trying to rewind back to it.
He's the
what is he? Go ahead.
He's the baby face. Jobber.
Well, all he's doing is taking directions from his bookers, but I hear you. Anything else from this?
No.
All right. A couple other notes. Paulie and Jim Ross continue to mention the U.S. title tournament tomorrow night. That's taking place at the Omni, a one-night tournament where they're going to crown a United States champion. There is a big "We Want Sting" chant in the building, so no surprise there. But this thing, I'd say it ends relatively quickly. We get the Russian sickle by Nikita, and then Nikita puts the old Cobra clutch on Wilson after he pins him. So there you go. Doc, any thoughts on how this all went down, the finish, and all that good stuff?
They're keeping Nikita strong for what I have no idea, but
boy,
there you go.
You ain't kidding. All right, so then we go to the WCW Control Center. Paul E states that Brian Pillman has been reinstated, and we see some clips of Pillman now that he's back, although, again, he never left since he was Yellow Dog, but, you know, who's keeping track of stuff like that? And then I got a quick couple of promos to play from Ron Simmons on Luger, and let's see what is going on here between these two.
By now, I'm sure the world has seen Ron Simmons come out here beg and plead with Lex Luger to confront me face to face. Well, when he finally has enough guts to come out here and do it, look what happens. He has some of those punks that are hanging around with him, Harley Race and Mr. Hughes, that knock me in the head from behind. But that only shows me one thing, that I'm more of a man than you thought I was. If it takes 3 of you to get me down, just think of what it's gonna be like tomorrow night in the Omni when we're one-on-one, when they won't be in the ring with you. I'm gonna give you everything that's more than you've ever dreamed of. Coming from a poor black neighborhood, growing up in Warner Robins, Georgia, this is a dream come true for me, to be even beat up for the world heavyweight title. Every man in this sport dreams of being where I am now. I feel as if I've already won the belt, having the opportunity to be up for it. I'm gonna prove to the kids of this world and all over, no matter what color you are, dreams are possible. And I'm going to prove to you by coming myself to pick you up and show you that I'll be ready when the bell rings.
Ron Simmons has rented.
All right, Doc, any thoughts on Simmons' it's about a minute-long promo here. I thought he was fine, but what did you think?
Yeah, they're building up the story. He came from hard scrabble beginnings.
Just so you know, that is going to keep, they're going to keep bringing it. They're going to make this a serious part of the angle. I mean, they're going to show him with kids and, you know, going back to his roots. And I forget if they go to like a boys' home or something. I seem to remember seeing clips on Twitter of that more recently. But anyway, you're going to see stuff like that from Simmons and building him up. And look, I'm here for it, man. I honestly think you could have did this with Simmons a year ago. Like, you know, I think about he would have had to been a heel, but because Sting was champion, and I don't know if you really want to put him and Sting to get, wrestling, but I mean, he's been world championship material. Not saying he's going to win it coming up right now this year, but dude, Ron Simmons is real. He's a big motherfucker, and dude, he just looks, his promos ain't bad. I mean, he gets better than what he is right now, but he deserved it. All right, so we should gas up the vehicle and head to the Omni tomorrow night as this airs. We then see footage of One Man Gang and Elegante.
The Clash, it's like, shit, they should have shown that Omni show for the Clash. And I'm not saying anything is bad about the Clash either. It's just...
Let's just say we ain't Van Hammer fan. Or I'm not.
What? Dude, if that guy would come out to smooth up and yeah.
Still wouldn't work.
No.
He'd have to have the Jimmy Del Rey gimmick to pull it off. Like, if you, like, I'm serious. I know people are going to go, what do you mean?
It should be slither up in you.
Slither up in you, that's true. But no, I want you to think about it, like, for a second. Imagine Jimmy Del Rey.
Van Hammer right now. Imagine
Jimmy Del Rey being called Van Hammer. And him just doing the same gimmick, the way he does it with the wiggle and all that. Dude, it would work. The name the name would be irrelevant. It actually might be worse when you think about Van Hammer, because then he can weave in, the wiggle, the jiggle, the whole kit and caboodle, and then I drop my hammer. And it's like, oh, God, you really are a sleazy POS. I mean, seriously. But we'll talk about him on a Clash. We continue. For some reason, we're still parading out Oz here, even though we had him do a job recently, versus Kevin Grant. And, God bless Kevin Nash for continue with this. I guess he didn't have a choice, but it is what it is. He wins rather quickly. Doc, any thoughts from this?
My only thought here, and let's wait just a second, was these little fart sniffers in the front row. Nothing is more annoying than like 8 to 12-year-old white kids at a sporting event. Jesus Christ.
So you're talking about your own kids?
If he's with his friends, 100%. If he's with me, he's like asking questions about what's going on and why they're doing stuff. And he's always wanting to figure out why the strategy is. But if he's with his other little fart sniffer friends, it's ugh. All right. So here's my note about this match. I have one. Kevin Nash comes out and completes the carton of sherbet.
Oh, with the lime tights?
Yes.
You notice the wrestling ain't all that on this show. You're talking about tights and sherbet.
Well, now I want some ice cream.
Cool, Harper. What the fuck going on here, man? You're talking about tights and sherbet.
Sherbet ain't ice cream.
I've actually had... You and Darren have a lot of similarities. That's what's scary. I've talked to him on levels outside of wrestling, and, are we working the room, bro, or what? I've talked to him outside of stuff like that. If you say this, he's a good dude. He's a good dude. He's a grandfather. We've had some talks about life and stuff, and he's not what he comes across as on this show. And I think that's just because, he went to war with you and vice versa at times. Oh, what the fuck, Harper? We talking about work in a room or what here? I mean, and then this guy's talking about fucking, he's sitting there talking about sherbet-colored fucking trunks, bro. Oh, but bro, come on, bro. He does do that, bro, too much. But I love you, Darren, if you're listening. I know you are. Oz wins. Any other thoughts, Doc? Because I really got none.
0.
Sidewalk slam, and then it's pretty much over. And dude, God bless Kevin Nash for doing this stupid gimmick. It's so dumb.
Is it worse than the next one he gets?
Are you talking about Diesel?
No, he's got one after this.
Which one's after this?
Vinny Vegas.
Oh shit! I don't know how that slipped my mind. I was like, what? Well, when I'm thinking, the reason I said Diesel is because, I mean, basically he was just a bodyguard at first. It wasn't like he was, anything per se. You think, no, Vinny Vegas ain't worse than, dude, you know what it takes to top Oz? Think about I want you to think about that. No. I'm talking about it, for you to say a gimmick that Kevin Nash does to be worse than Oz, it would have to top the monkey doing the Burger King thing.
Oz is bad, dude.
Yeah, Oz is just complete stupidity. But we'll continue. We do get a look at the WCW Top 10. I've been critical of it, but I do like that they do it. It's cool. I mean, especially when we think about, us with the PWIs and always looking at the top 10s. And then we go, to the next match. It is Sam Cody versus Big Josh. And another quick one. What do you think of this one, Doc? Sam Cody here.
Sam Cody has a look.
He looks like Manimal.
Yeah.
With tights on.
Yeah.
What do you think of Manimal's podcast?
What podcast?
I know he's not listening to this. That's why I brought it up.
I don't know what you're talking about.
All right. I'm going to leave it at that.
I can't ask questions anymore. What the fuck, dude?
All right.
You told me last week, and you're going to deny it now, but you told me last week, dude, your life is insane.
Oh yeah.
And I'm a guy who can sit and do nothing for days on end, and my life is insane. So I don't have time for anything else other than what I'm trying to get done.
Yeah, I'm with you. Soccer tournaments.
I don't know what you're talking about. No disrespect to anybody out there They did mention that Sam Cody here was a seasoned veteran, so I'm assuming he's a regional guy around the Missouri area. And Big Josh is going to be a big nope.
He was better than this, but it is what it is at this point. Anyway,
he's making $150,000 to run around like the Mr. Bronny, so whatever.
You think he was making that much during his time here?
I think I remember Cactus talking about getting like 144 during this time. And like that's why all these guys went through all this bullshit. It's because a lot of them, like Austin and Cactus, were coming off these indies where they weren't eating, and it's like, well, shit, I'm making cash.
Greg Serrata and Ben Martin, you'll know. Post it in the Facebook group or on Twitter.
Yeah, put it right there in that Facebook group. I'll come in and tell you if you're right or not.
Tell us what Big Josh was making at this moment in 1991, August 24th.
There you go.
All right. Which is a shame because Brad Armstrong ain't making nowhere near that. But then again, look how they treat him. Sheesh. Dude, I think Brad was making like 75 in the mid 90s, which is a crime, but that's just my personal opinion. But they also threw stupid gimmicks on him, like Bad
like
Street and Arachne
It's almost
Man.
like a rib, dude.
Arachne Man is something else. We ain't far off from that, but it's just, what the piss. All right, we'll keep moving.
Dude, later on, he's fucking buzzkill.
But remember, I love when he's a No Limit Soldier.
Jesus Christ.
Swole told me Swole always was like, Brad was great. Like, he loved Brad. Like, it's just so sad. Like, they do to Brad Armstrong.
Hey, let's take Brad Armstrong and Brian Pillman are two decent-looking baby faces who can work and throw them under masks.
Right. All right.
Idea.
Yeah. All right. Well, Doc, they're showing this commercial for these figures and the WCW
We didn't have
ring.
merch before Bischoff came.
Yeah, we didn't have merch before Bischoff. Well, Bischoff is here now, though.
But he ain't doing nothing. He's
right.
still thinking, do I need to go back to selling meat out of the back of a truck?
Let me ask you a question. Do you think I'm a mark for wanting to start collecting the old WCW Galoob figures? Because I really kind of want to start, get my hands on a bunch of them.
No.
Does that make me a mark? Because I didn't get them as a kid.
It's a hard thing because, so it's interesting that you said that because the boy is starting to get into cards and cards have changed and it's for our age, not for them. And so he's struggling with it because he doesn't have the money to do anything. He knows he can't get to the cool stuff, but he wants to be involved. And I went to the local shop right before the holidays to get him something to open at, some packs to rip at Christmas. And I'm looking around stuff I had and stuff. And I was like, dude, I would have killed to have this when I was a kid. And it would be no problem financially for me to go, I'm going to do that. And for some reason, I can't. And I don't know why. You mean
do it for him?
I don't know why I'm not doing it. And probably a lot of it is I just don't have time. So that all of that is to say, look, there's a difference between you and I going out and getting a little piece of our childhood that we couldn't, afford back then, and Harper, who's still buying toys today.
Well, I think there's some
people without kids, man. It's fucked up.
Yeah.
People our age without kids are into Legos more than the kids are, and my kid has a ton of Legos.
Oh God, he's got a whole friggin' room full of them.
Yeah, you came over. You saw that he's got this table with the whole Harry Potter village set up and shit.
Dude, he's got everything. When it comes, my daughter was into Legos though too. She was a big Lego person. She's grown out of it now.
Adults, man, I know adults that are just. That's what they do. They get a 6-pack of beer and build a Lego set on a Friday night.
If that's what you want to do, then do
but
it.
But it's don't. You can do that. It's a free country, but then don't come to me and ask why you're single.
I don't know, bro. When you're an adult and don't have kids, bro, that's a license to do a lot of shit you can't do when you got kids.
So my whole thing is, first of all, you buying some old toys ain't hitting puppy dogs. It ain't hitting children. It ain't messing with women. and it ain't costing me any money. So you do you, but I'm not judging you for it either. Like some of you be like, man, that's dumb. I ain't judging you for that. Now you turn a whole room in your new mansion over there into a Galoob toy display. I might look a little side-eyed on how you're treating the square footage of your home, but go get you some toys and play. You can't open them though. You gotta leave them in the box.
Well, I don't know. I mean, we got listeners like, bruh, we got one listener, Jeff Jewett. Man, he sent me his collection.
Oh, he sent it to you?
I mean, like, he showed me pictures of it. And
he sent you pictures. See,
I'm so impressed by the shit that he's got. First off, he lives up north, so he's got like a basement. So he's got plenty of room for, I don't know if people realize this. Where we live, you only get shit above ground. You ain't got shit below you. Like,
you can't build a basement here. It's too sandy.
Is that why they don't have basements here?
It's one of the reasons is the soil types.
Well, my point is,
I had a basement when we lived up in Oklahoma for a couple of years. We had a basement and it flooded. Like, it was neat because a couple of times we had tornadoes come through and we went down in that basement, but it would you can't seal them right and they flood.
Okay,
like,
I see. I didn't know. That's why I was asking.
We had to have like a sump pump to like clean it out.
Well, so my point was, like, I want to say I think it was his basement, but like I've seen like Jeff's freaking collection, and he's got he's got so many figures, and I find that awesome. Like I wouldn't want that many, but I definitely would want like a good bit. Let me say it like that.
I told you I got my Nintendo out. We've been playing some old original Nintendo games. I still have my Atari and those games. I have a ton of the valuable sports cards I had from the 70s and 80s. I still have my dad's baseball cards from the 50s. So it's not, I get it. I get the allure. I get the excitement of it. It's just I don't feel like I have the free time to have fun anymore. This is my hobby.
Yeah, I say that all the time. People are like, well, what's your hobby with this?
Yeah.
I mean,
and even then, like, instead of getting my run on and staying healthy, the other night at soccer practice, I stayed in the car and watched the Clash.
Yeah.
And took notes in the dark with a little reading lamp on my little gimmick that I take notes on.
Yeah. When I'm running errands sometimes with the kids, I'll pull it up on my phone and while they're doing what they got to do, I got one driving now, so that's a little different. But
Jesus Christ. We'll get into that some other time. We're here for the semis, bro.
Yeah, we are. Let's continue because we've been talking, but there is a match going on. It is the Patriots, so Firebreaker Chip and Todd Champion versus the Enforcers in a semifinal match for the World Tag Title Tournament. So the Patriots have made it to the semifinals. Jim Ross, this killed me. I'm not mad. I know what JR's doing. He's trying to sell us. Jim Ross compared this match to when Joe Namath guaranteed victory against the big favorites, the Colts, in Super Bowl III, saying that's the type of odds that the Patriots are up against here against the Enforcers. Now, hold on. I don't disagree that Arn and Larry Zbyszko were not going to lose this match. We knew they were going to win. But a little bit of hyperbole here from JR comparing that to this. But I applaud the effort, in my opinion. What did you think?
That was 25 years prior.
Which is crazy because this right here is 31 years prior to where we're at now.
Where is the nearest Burger King, bro?
No, you don't want to do that. But yeah, I hear you, man. Okay, what else? What did you have from this one? The crowd's into it. I will say, I wanted to say that before I throw it to you. Crowd is really into this.
Oh, I know what I wrote down here. I couldn't read my writing because whatever, bro. I'm telling you right now, you and Harper are more complimentary of the Patriots than I am. And I'm not down on it. I'm just telling you.
They're good workers, man.
Okay, whatever.
They ain't stars. Don't get me wrong.
No,
I mean,
and they should go in the back they should have gone up. They better have gone up to Larry and Arn and shook their hand and said thanks.
I'm sure they did. I mean, I'm sure they were respectful.
Okay. Have you noticed that Champion last week was wearing a shirt? Now he's wearing no shirt, and he's wearing a singlet under pants at the Clash. He's still trying to find his voice here.
Yeah, I mean, it makes
in
it.
terms of his
I get it. I get it. You know, he's.
Well, not everybody can wrestle in a Mike Vick jersey.
Okay, that's
How'd you feel
unnecessary. That's an unnecessary, bruh. I don't get why people get like. I had a friend of mine ask me that. He's like, "How can you put that on as a Saints fan?" I'm like, "Okay, well, one, I put it on at the height of his dog killing saga.
You're dirty.
That was the reason,
by the way.
That's the reason I put the Vic jersey on. Two, have you ever done anything that you don't want to do because it earned you a little money? Like you go to a shoot job every day. I don't ask you why you do that. You do it to pay your bills. I wasn't paying my bills off of independent wrestling.
Bro,
but
every day we're like, why are we doing this? I don't want to do this anymore.
Right. Well, you know, I know some folks who like are really dumb and will tell you that if somebody offered them 20 grand to put on an Atlanta Falcons jersey and pose with it, they wouldn't do it. And I'm like, you are a effing moron. That is the easiest 20 grand you'll ever make in your life. I'm like, are you fucking? Oh, what's wrong with your head? You need to have your head examined if you have.
And here's the other thing: the kind of people that would say that are so delusional and dumb that they don't have another way to make this 20 grand. So they really do need to smarten up and take that money.
I have one particular friend I know was told. He said he wouldn't take $500,000 to do that. I'm like, you have lost your. I'm like, what kind of stupidity are you trying to state here?
What do you,
bro? Do you know what $500,000 would do in my life?
Amount of money I would take to put on an Eagles jersey. I don't know. You call Jaworski, Cunningham, Reggie White. You name who it is. I don't give a shit. All those fucking pricks. But I'll take a picture with Phil Allen wearing whatever Phil Eagles jersey he's got.
How much do it for $100?
The lowest price.
$100?
Well, it depends. Do I have to go anywhere? Because then I got to factor in trans.
Okay. No trans involved.
No trans involved.
For you to take a picture of a Philly with you with a Randall Cunningham jersey on, taking it with Phil Allen throwing the bird up, and you just sitting there like whatever.
Okay. Probably wouldn't. How much would you take for that? $100, but that says more about how much money I have. Because there was a time when I would have done it for $10.
Exactly, that's the point.
But if you got up to 500 or 1,000, I'm like, yeah, relatively speaking, I ain't that rich. Come on, let's get this picture taken. Hurry up! I don't like taking pictures anyway, so let's hurry up and get this fucking shit over with. That's
my point. So on that note, let's go towards the finish of this really good matchup.
This was a good match. This was we're gonna save the show here.
So. We joke about this team, or Harper does, and we do, but Todd Champion takes the heat. He really looks good doing it. Like, they beat him up, and he's a big dude, so it's kind of impactful. He makes the hot tag to Chip, and all four guys end up in the ring. Arn then uses the ropes for leverage after Larry Zbyszko hits Chip in the back of the head, and Arn pins Chip, and the Enforcers move on in the tournament. And again, the crowd is into this. They really liked it. I thought this was a nice semifinal matchup, and yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say I think that Firebreaker Chip and Todd Champion told Arn and Larry thank you after. I mean, it was good. Any other thoughts?
It was a good match. I really, again, I'm telling you, this is dark period. Like, I watched the Clash. I ain't ever seen any of it before. Not 1 second of it had I ever seen.
This was good, man. Good stuff. And
I got to tell you how good Larry and Arn are. Jeez.
They are veterans who know what the piss they're doing, and it was great. I mean, it really, really was. All right. So we come back from commercial. Did you have any other thoughts on Arn and Larry moving on?
No, they're in the finals now against Kaz and Rick Steiner.
I love when we use first names. Like I get tweets from Mikey at DFW. He's like, "Oh, what are we doing here? We're gonna call Arn and Larry and say." I love Mikey. He's a good dude.
I say we for the Cowboys and Mavericks too, but I ain't on the roster.
Yeah. All right, let's go now to Lex Luger and Harley Race. They are going to be cutting a promo, and let's hear what they have to say. Here it is.
Dangerously is standing by with the heavyweight champion of the world.
All right, Ross, you talk about intensity. It is hot right here in the locker room with Harley Race and the total package Lex Luger. Mr. Hughes, the bodyguard at the door because your enemies have united. Tomorrow night, Harley Race in the Omni. The heavyweight champion of the world, Lex Luger, will take on the All-American from FSU, Ron Simmons.
You know, I don't care where Ron Simmons is from, nor do I care if he's coming there with a busload of kids. Simmons, you should have learned your lesson. When you play with fire, you're gonna get burnt. When you touch the total package, you're gonna get hurt.
You know, Ron Simmons, that's just a small taste what you've just seen. What's coming down when you mess with the total package Lex Luger, the heavyweight world champion, the man of the hour. What everybody's talking about, who everybody's talking about, because Ron Simmons, you made a lot of noise. You got our answer. You get even more in the Omni. It doesn't matter where, when, or how. The total package is going to dominate the 90s like never seen before. You can bring 10 busloads of kids. You can be a 4-time All-American. You can be a 4-time Heisman Trophy winner. But this Ron Simmons is about wrestling. And the total package Lex Luger is what wrestling is all about. I'm in the driver's seat, and it's going to be done my way.
Tomorrow night in the Omni, August 25th, the greatest American bash of all time. Lex Luger, Ron Simmons for the heavyweight championship of the world. And now, because he said so, we're going back to the ring.
I'm ready, man. On my way, Doc. Let's gas up the vehicle and head towards the Omni.
That's the same promo from last week, isn't it?
Was it the exact same?
I think it was, and it was where, Heyman slipped and said tomorrow night when he meant they played it the wrong week.
That's right. Okay. You're right. I watch too much wrestling. I'll be forgetting sometime. you are right.
Everybody. He just said he hates wrestling.
I said I watch too much. I didn't say hates. Speaking of hates, Doc hates PN News, who's out here versus Oren Jones.
He's out here against the champ.
First off, he's not out here against the champ, but okay.
Oren.
I did pop that.
I mean, I was at Hooters with Oren the other night. I mean, come on, bro.
This is not the champ.
Harper was there, but Harper just likes to tag along with us because he thinks he's cool and shit.
Bro, you making fun of the champ, man. The champ is becoming a very popular person with this this Young Rock. Oh yeah,
thing. I told them when the kids like Young Rock, and I showed them the champ on Young Rock.
It's fucking crazy, man. I've known that dude for so long, and he's on a fucking TV show playing Stone Cold. Oh, my God. All right. Oren Jones versus PN News. It doesn't last long. News wins with a belly-to-belly and then the broken record off the top rope. And then we get a News wrap at the end as he's blown up after his 2-minute match. Any thoughts, Doc, on PN News here? Almost fell off the top at one point. Yo, baby, yo, baby, yo. Bro, he looks like he's like a comet coming out the sky.
Sack of shit coming off the top of the ropes.
Oh, man.
That impact is not light.
All right.
And now
he raps. Do you want me to play this last promo? Or the close? The close of the show. Paulie and JR.
What did they say?
All right, let's go to it. No politics, bro. Here it is.
News involving a big card, ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow night in Atlanta's Omni. Now, don't forget, tomorrow night, 6:05 Eastern Time, we will be back with you for the main event. I hope you'll join us for that one. It's going to be a tremendous night, and we're going to be talking about the Omni event. Remember, Paul, it starts at 8 o'clock. Now, we've seen a lot of strange things the last couple of weeks in this broadcast. Sting attacked by Abdullah Butcher coming out of a box. My question to you again, who do you think is behind this motivation?
You see, I can't figure this out. Not even Donald Trump has enough money to pay Abdullah the Butcher to come to World Championship Wrestling and annihilate the Stinger like he did. But tomorrow night in the Omni, when the Stinger comes in a tournament for the U.S. Heavyweight Championship. What can Abdullah the Butcher have in store for him then?
Plus, ladies and gentlemen, Ron Simmons brutally attacked. We saw that last week by Lex Luger. Simmons now.
All right. We were talking about the ex-president here not having enough money to pay Abdullah to do what he did. And that's why I said, let's keep it politics free.
There's nothing political there. So if you weave politics into that, you did it.
Right. Because it's all about the context of the time. You know, Trump being able to pay this man to do what he did. And actually, Corny has been more political when he was still with the promotion than most people, because he would remember the clash with in Texas when Sting got hurt. I mean, he's talking about the illegals jumping the fence.
Whoa.
Bruh, Corny was going off. Cornette made multiple political statements
If
on that Clash of the Champions.
If we're all humans, then no one can be alien.
Jesus Christ. All right. Of course, you had to make a political statement. All right. So on that note,
we got to get these borders. I mean, they're just open borders.
Stop. Don't. By the way, the redneck skit we did multiple weeks ago, the people were laughing at us breaking it down.
I don't even remember. Was it funny?
I was about to do the Tommy Rich. Hold on. I was like,
Hi.
Let me tell you something, Doc. All right. Look here, man. I ain't trying to say I'm right. Look, I ain't racist or nothing. But I just don't like them with my family. Well, hold on, brother. That would make you racist. Now, it ain't the same thing. I just think your kind should stick with your kind and mine should stick with mine. Brother, you just said a racist statement. I ain't racist, man. I just don't believe in mixing the purity of my white blood. Okay. Brother. All right. On that note, let's keep moving.
That's what makes this show so great, is that we're such a melting pot of people from across the spectrum.
Listeners especially. Boy, we got every demographic covered, man. All right, on that note,
it's important. Like, black people are different than white people, and white people are different than black people. And there's some things that, we all share. Everybody's trying to, navigate these women in our lives and probably get some kids raised up without becoming criminals and make some. But there's some little, nuances. You came to my house, you're like, that's some white people shit, which was pretty rude, if you must know. And
that was some white people shit.
Okay. So it's important that we learn about each other, so it's not so crazy when we, it's like the more we know about one another, and the more we learn about one another, the harder it is to just hate somebody for some stupid reason.
There ain't a black household in America, whether rich or poor, would have what I saw in your kitchen. I'm just saying. He's getting mad. Mrs. Doc is pissed at me too for that statement. I know.
She harbors a little resentment at you for that. Yeah.
Right.
I'm not gonna lie.
And she still didn't say with cheese either. Okay.
You were trying to come over and watch the Cowboy game, and I was like, I don't know if it's a good idea that you come over. She might turn the garden hose on you.
Wow.
In the drive.
Is that what we're doing here?
I'm just saying, bro. You made fun of her whiteness.
She's all about the. I'm not gonna go there. All right, let's keep.
She got her feelings so hurt when you said that. She went down to the Burger King and got a grape soda.
Okay.
Over blackness.
All right, let's keep moving.
No ice.
So
no ice.
So this show wraps up on that particular note.
The sister does not like ice in their fountain drink.
That's not always true.
Nothing's always true.
They like light ice.
I say it.
I like light ice. I don't want you filling my cup full of ice, man. Yeah, light. I don't need a ton of ice. We need to rate it, hand out some Rolexes. Before we do so, as a reminder, if you would like to, not only if you would like to, but remember, the only way to listen to our Clash review, which is Clash 16, boy, we've already done 15 of those suckers, on Patreon is by going to tinyurl.com/PatreonBTT. It is a great way to support the show. Not only are you supporting the show, but you get a ton of content in return. Probably close to 400 plus Patreon episodes. And when I say Patreon episodes, for most of them, especially like The Clash, you'll get a video version of The Clash along with an audio version as well. So there you go. tinyurl.com/PatreonBTT. Enjoy over 400 plus Patreon exclusive episodes that you and only you can listen to at tinyurl.com/PatreonBTT. Now we need to rate it and hand out some Rolexes, Doc. Let's start that process. What are you going to rate this thing?
It wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible.
45 minutes.
49 minutes.
Mm-hmm. They backed the commercials out of it too, so that made it even shorter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give this I really like not the last match because that was P&U's. The second penultimate match, the second to last match, the tag team tournament semifinals. I like that match, so I'm gonna give this a B.
And for all intents and purposes, that was the main event. To be honest with you, P&U's wasn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so you gave it a B? Did you say B?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So Doc gave it a B. I'm gonna give it I'll give it a B plus. Dude, these shows with as much stuff as we have to go through in life and work and be busy, these 49-minute episodes are
a blessing.
Simply I can't explain. I know it's hard for some folks who don't have children. You just don't have the experiences we have. When you got children and you got shoot jobs, when I see a 49-minute episode for the next week, I'm like, Jesus, sweet baby Jesus, thank you. It's just, especially in a week when you got the Clash too. That's the other part of it. You know, you got two to get done. So B plus. On that note, we need to hand out a Rolex. Doc told me earlier he's going to give it to PN News. Is that still correct or someone else?
No, that's changed.
Okay, changed. All right. Who are you giving yours to? Abdullah, because he attacked Sting.
He's on the list.
He's giving it to Abdullah and whoever the mystery person is that sent Abdullah to attack Sting.
That sounds good. I'm going with Abdullah.
Yeah. Are you going with Abdullah for real?
Yeah.
I'm giving it to two. I'm going to give it to Arn Anderson and Larry Zbyszko for their work in that quote-unquote semi-fan against the semi-main event.
They were on the list, too.
Yeah, they were good. All right, Doc. Anything else? What else we got to talk about before we get out of here as we close out another spectacular edition of Saturday Night on TBS from August the 24th of 1991? You got anything?
No.
Nothing?
What am I supposed to have?
Oh, okay. All right. Well, again, if you want to listen to our Clash review, you got to go to Patreon, tinyurl.com/PatreonBTT. And as always, if you are hurting for money and you would like to become and are dying to try out our Patreon content, I would just say email me, bookingtheterritory@gmail.com, and ask me how you can take advantage of becoming a patron for free for 1 month. I will hook you up. All you got to do is email me. Now, there's some things you got to do. One, you got to have a PayPal or a Venmo. But email me. I can hook you up with a free Patreon membership. Bookingtheterritory@gmail.com. Don't send me a DM on Twitter or Facebook. I rarely check them. I don't have Facebook Messenger on my phone. So don't DM me there. Email me, bookingtheterritory@gmail.com. Best way to get in touch with me and the show, and I'll hook you up with a free month if you're dying to try us out on Patreon. All right, Doc, I don't think I have anything else. I think we've run the gamut this week. Fun episode. I don't think we got into the wrestling part until like maybe 35 minutes into it. Oh, I'm sorry. We didn't get into the Saturday night portion until about 35, maybe 40 minutes into it. But this was fun. Enjoyed it. If you don't have anything else, why don't you do what Harper normally does, since Harper's not here, but he'll be on the Clash, and hit that tagline and let's ride off into the sunset.
How about them Cowboys?
Oh, fuck.
Oh, sorry. Book it, bitch.